Hey everyone, it is Sean and Dave here from Saturday Morning Cartoons. We want to thank the following people for going to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons and supporting our show. So a huge thank you to Derek Haynes,
Dr. Jason Woods,
Jamal Newman,
Melanie Harker,
Allison Keene,
the one and only Sean Paul Ellis,
and the amazing Dave Trumbore.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, it might sound kind of weird that we are thanking some familiar people and ourselves in this list, but we want to let you listeners out there know that we are not just asking you to support us through Patreon. We are actually putting our hard-earned dollars into the show as well. So we just want to say thank you to those who have supported, and for anyone who can't but would like to help out the show in some way, feel free to share our Patreon page within your social media circles. It would really help a lot.
So thank you guys. We appreciate you going to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons to sponsor and support our podcast. And now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from the planet Melmac, I'll be your co-host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always, it's Spee, also known as Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, Sean?
David, I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I don't think I've called you Spee in a long time, like since college time.
It's been a while, huh?
Is that what your name's actually short for? Is it Sean Paul Ellis or is it something else? Are you like masking that to be incognito?
No, man, it's 100% Sean Paul Ellis.
Oh, okay, that's kind of boring. I thought maybe you were like some weird like illegal alien immigrant or something here and under false pretenses.
I feel like this is taking a weird turn. Definitely a U.S. citizen. I am not a reggae superstar.
Okay. I haven't seen his birth certificates, just throwing that out.
Is that really what you're so concerned about?
It's hard to tell these days.
Is it though?
Hey Dave, what up?
Oh,
What up?
hey,
We've got
This is Jamal Newman.
Thank God,
Thanks for having me on
Jamal's
here to co-host. We're here with our guest Sean Paul Ellis, Spee.
Jamal. I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
Just
Doing great.
I'm glad we warmed the mics up for Jamal. Jamal come in and save us from this terrible opening for what might be a terrible show. Not our show, of course, but the show we're talking about tonight. So, Jamal, you are here because you suggested tonight's series. What are we watching tonight? What the hell am I talking about?
We're watching Gordon Shumway, aka ALF, his animated series.
Gordon Shumway.
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 Shuma.
Was there a point though watching this show where you thought that they said Gordon Chumpway?
Nope.
I thought they said Shemway. I thought they said
ShamWow.
Yeah.
Gordon Shamwow. Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon ShamWow.
No, I remember this from the original series, from the live action series. He would go by
Wait.
Gordon Shumway. His alias was Gordon Shumway.
Wait, was it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do that was my biggest question for tonight was I do not remember him actually having a name other than Alf on the live action. And so to hear him referred to as Gordon Shumway, I was like, this seems weird. It seems like I was concerned that maybe the cartoon had tried to like fill in the gaps and been like, well, we can't have everybody named Alf on Melmac, so we're going to give him a name that sounds like he's from the Jersey Shore. And
we get Gordon Shumway of all things.
But we're going to put it in a setting where it feels like it's the 50s or the 60s, but clearly everybody dresses like they're on the beach in the 80s and has hairstyle like they were Johnny Depp in the movie Crybaby.
Nobody has pants. So in the live action one, I believe the father refers to him as Gordon more than anyone else in the series.
Really?
I believe, like, especially when they do, because I've watched a lot of the live action, and I believe there's a lot of times when they're doing the heart-to-heart talks with Alf, like, don't do this kind of stuff.
Don't eat the cats and stop doing cocaine.
Yeah. He's like, look, Gordon. Like, he, like, settles him down, like, sits him down. He's like, look, Gordon. Almost like he's talking to his son. But everyone else calls him Alf in the house.
Okay.
Which is short for
alien life form.
Thank you, sir. And of course, they're not going to like call all other same aliens. Like they're all the same species of people, creatures, aliens on Melmac. So they're not going to call them ALFs, alien life forms. That's just like the thing that stuck. But I remember Gordon Shumway from the live action because whenever anybody would stop by and he would like introduce himself as Gordon Shumway, sometimes he'd be in like a hat and a trench coat, if I remember correctly. And
like he was at some point tonight in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
By the way, Apparently, back then, I remember a hat and a trench coat. You're a different person.
Yeah, totally different person. You can be anybody.
Yeah,
Different time, different place.
completely different.
Different amount of exposure.
Happened a lot
you
in,
could say.
in Times Square. Yeah,
Ugh,
from what I remember. Yeah, so let's go back to the 80s for a little bit. Sean's going to walk us through the history of this particular cartoon tonight.
So, ALF, the animated series, also known as ALF on Melmac, was a spin-off based on the live-action sitcom ALF. It was a 30-minute Saturday morning animated series that aired for 26 episodes on NBC from 1987 to 1989. ALF Tales was a spin-off from the series that also ran on NBC on Saturdays from 88 to 89. Paul Fusco, who is best known as the voice creator and puppeteer of ALF, also voiced the role in the cartoon, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yep.
Like we've run into this a couple times where we've had either like movies or live action that has then been animated and they don't get the original voice actor who feels like it's so essential. And they make that key mistake where they're just like, we'll get somebody that sounds like Jim Carrey. And you're like, yeah, no, that's not gonna.
That's how you get the dip.
Maybe that's exactly how you get the dip.
Yeah, that's why I stopped watching the animated Fire Marshal Bill.
God, I wish that was a real thing.
They didn't get Jim Carrey.
That animated Homie the Clown did
Yeah.
not have any of the Wayans brothers. And there's a bunch of them that they could have.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And they're not all
Yeah.
working, let's be honest.
I mean, but at the same time, what a great show that was. I would 100% right now say if they did an animated version of In Living Color, I would watch the shit out of that. That would be phenomenal. I'm upset that they didn't reboot it 2-3 years ago when they said that they were going to.
Wow, there's a lot of politics, and I feel like that's a whole other podcast episode.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to say variety show, cartoon animated variety show. I don't think we've seen for a while. It's been a long time.
I do want to take 2 seconds, though, and acknowledge that we had a live-action ALF.
Mm-hmm.
We had ALF, the animated series,
Correct.
or ALF on Melmac, which clearly is talking about our buddy Gordon's life on the actual planet Melmac. Yep. And then for anybody who was just like, ALF Tales kind of sounds familiar, they essentially went with a model of Fractured Fairy Tales, just always starring ALF as sort of one of the key or leading roles that sort of helped kids like tell a tale or a story. ALF Tales went for 2 fucking seasons.
Was it good? I guess we'll watch a lot of future episodes.
Needed more. No, you know what? Next time we do one of these things where we're like, Jamal, buddy, what's a show that you really want to watch? Something that you love that's near and dear to your heart. And I guarantee Jamal is gonna be like, let's get into ALF Tales. Let's straight up get into ALF Tales. I was thinking of ALF Tales or Naruto, and ALF Tales is winning out for me this time.
Well, ALF won out this time.
Yeah, he did.
So probably went out again.
Do you want to tell us about this, Jamal?
What, the story of my realization that you haven't done Naruto?
The story? No, it should be the story of why we're talking about ALF tonight.
We're talking about ALF tonight because I was under the impression that you'd done Naruto, which is my actual favorite cartoon/anime. And so only after asking to do this and you guys confirming was I like, I probably should have asked about Naruto, but I didn't until finding out now, today, that I hadn't done it.
I think the funny thing is that we could have abandoned this at any point in time, and because I know Dave has watched a shit ton of Naruto, and I have read and watched a shit ton of Naruto, and you've watched all of it and read all of it. And we could have gotten into a real deep discussion, but guys, we decided to talk ALF.
Had girlfriends in college angry that I'd wake up early and read a manga episode at 5 a.m.
I feel like they would have been angrier if you were waking up to watch ALF, though. We're just more confused, at least.
Oh, maybe.
We also have ALF in the studio. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but he actually
Gordon
stopped by.
Shumway, please.
Gordon Shumway. Sorry, I didn't mean to give away your alias.
It's just about respect, Bill.
Is that Rodney Dangerfield? Is that
ALF
Gordon Shumway as
ALF /
Rodney
Gordon had a
Dangerfield?
lot of Rodney Dangerfield going for him, which I liked at times, and other times it was too much. I actually prefer
respect.
Jamal's version. So if you guys have no clue what we're actually talking about here, here's the
What is this
synopsis
about?
for this show. For everybody who's just like really confused and frustrated right now. So the show's actually a
Thank you.
prequel to the live-action sitcom ALF, and it depicts ALF's life back on his home planet of Melmac, like Sean said, resembling a 1950s or 60s small town. Since the name ALF was actually an acronym short for Alien Life Form, and only given to Gordon Shumway later on Earth, ALF is never actually used in the animated series, except for in its title, so you know what the hell you're watching. ALF would always be referred to as Gordon, his true name, or Gordo, by his friends Rick and Skip. In nearly every episode, a live-action ALF would appear at the introduction and conclusion of the episode, much like our buddy Chuck Norris, or our buddy Wayne Gretzky. And he would read mail, Bo Jackson. He would read fan mail and say, you know, that the show was a response to the huge demand of people wanting to know what his life was like on Melmac, and also to inject some really terrible dad jokes. So that was fun for everyone.
I don't even think that these were dad joke level jokes. These were more uncle at a family reunion that you just couldn't get away from jokes. They were bad.
They're pretty bad.
Alf, what was your favorite joke out of all the ones that you talked about on the show?
I stepped on a cat's tail and it said, "Cats meow, that hurts." Wow, that's an on par joke for
it actually is pretty good.
Gordon to make.
That's a spot on Gordon joke right there.
Spot on.
It would have made it on the show.
Joke.
My favorite was the colon one. Do you remember that one?
Oh, the semicolon?
Yeah. Can you remember that one? Can you rehash it for us?
Can you remember that one, Alf?
Gordon, do you remember that one?
Gordon, do you remember that one?
I have to check my notes.
Isn't that the one where you said that you banged on your typewriter hard enough where you broke?
I broke the semicolon, and then also my colon.
Close enough. It actually made less sense than that, because he's just sitting at his typewriter, and he's just like, I got my semicolon fixed, but I broke my colon from laughing so hard. Anyway, here's the episode. Like, my favorite part of those live action intros were how fucking awkward they were, and how much like dead air there was, and then how he had to transition into the show, which took forever.
Oh my god! So I don't know, but in the mid '90s, I worked at our high school. We had a little like television studio where we broadcast our morning announcements, and we had a fader where you could transition seamlessly between two cameras, and you could do like a hard wipe, you could do a fade, you could do a star wipe at some point in time, and all of these things were really, really silly. The fact that they hung on the live action ALF for as long as they did, while they did a slow fade, it was awkward the first time, but we watched 2 episodes for tonight, and by the second time it happened, I was just like, this is cringe-inducing.
Hey, you know what helps? Watching it at like 1 1/4 speed. It actually tightens everything up quite a bit. So the theme song's a little tighter, the intros are a little tighter, and then the dialogue throughout the show is a little tighter, and you can get through it in like 15 minutes rather than 22. So it's not bad.
I didn't know that.
That's my trick. That's Dave's pro tip for anybody out there trying to cram in a lot of cartoons in a day. Watch them on like 1 1/4 or double speed if you can stomach it. But yeah. So speaking of that, let's get into the theme song here, because I watched it regular style a couple times, and then extra crispy at 1 1/4 speed. And I actually liked the sped up one. What about you guys?
I watched it monster style. What about you?
I watched it normal style.
Oh.
I just had to sit through the entire dancing cats song. I still don't understand why cats are, he eats cats, he hates cats.
They eat them. They all eat them.
So yeah,
so why are there so many just walking about?
Well, because it's a food source.
But they're in his house in the intro.
I guess because they're like free range and they're not industrialized yet, like things here. I don't know.
Is there cats with no GMOs?
Cats are also the only animals that have no clothing in the show.
Yeah, at least all the Melmacians have like half clothes.
He has a hanging bed that on 4 corners is held up by cattails, like those decorative cats on each corner, and then there's cattail like iron postings that stick into the wall, the top of his bed. It's weird. It would be like having like cows like holding up your poster bed, like 2 cows and 2 pigs or a chicken. Yeah, it's weird. I wonder if it's like a ritual food kind of thing. I want to get into like the anthropology of the Melmacians and see what the deal is.
Well, if you Pinterest search for 4-corner chicken leg bed.
What are you, Baba Yaga all of a sudden? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. You'll 100% find that. That's available. You could just go and get that, guys. If you wanted hooves from maybe like a pig.
What do vegetarians get?
You
like
get
corn
like
stalks?
like a leak.
A leek, just a leek.
Yeah, leeks are. If you're unfamiliar with what a leek is, I mean, it's a really big, rooty earth vegetable. I mean, it feels like it's a load-bearing vegetable for something like on a bed.
If you're not familiar with a leek, just watch Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, and you'll have a delightful experience with that. That's all I'm going to say.
I was just going to say, just read the play Richard V by William Shakespeare.
A lot of references being thrown around. How about that theme song, though? So Jamal
Jesus.
mentioned there's a bunch of cats. What else is going on?
He's playing the saxophone until the cats start talking to him. What is the words in the theme song? Because I got.
Oh God, I've got them right here.
Melody.
I'll tell you what.
Well.
Let's play a drinking game at home. All right, everybody. So here's a drinking game for everybody at home. Every time we say Gordon, take a shot, and just call 911 now because you're gonna need it in a second here.
Everyone's drunk. Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks, Gordon. Gordon's also drinking when we say his name, so should be a good night.
So let me help out a little bit with some of these lyrics. So it says, "Gordon, send us into outer space."
Now, right there, I'm going to stop you because remember, this is the name of this show is ALF, the animated series. And the first word of the
if you don't know who the fuck is Gordon,
if you're in Sean's neck of the woods right there, and you have no clue who the fuck Gordon is, this is going to be a rough ride.
Now, Gordon, send us into outer space because there ain't no one like you in the Melmacian race. All right, teach us, send us. Gordon, make us twitch. .tv. You're the only one that can scratch our itch.
Gordon loves this theme song, by the way.
So Gordon, put us in stitches. There ain't no one like you in this place. Melmac is nuts. But worse than that, Melmac is really no place for cats.
Remember, these are the cats singing. These are the cats singing to Gordon.
But Gordon, you've got an angle on things. You're the only one here who sings and swings. Yeah, Gordon, send us into outer space because there ain't no one like you in the Melmacian race. And then it just
repeats that.
That part just over and over.
Gordon, what was your closing stinger line from this theme song though before you took us into the episode itself?
What was his?
Oh yeah. It goes.
What was his?
He goes. No more tabby paw pie before bedtime. Yeah.
Yeah. How about
Gordon?
that?
What do you think of that, Gordon? Ah! Another good segue.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's true. I was kind of hoping that would change every time, like he'd have a different one-liner every time, but no, not to be.
I heard tabby pot pie.
I think that's what they were going for. I think it's the pun they're going for.
Yeah. I think that was the pun, but I heard when I finally read the actual lyrics for it, I was like, tabby pop? I was like, yeah, I guess. All right.
If you listen to it at 1 1/4 speed, it really does blend together there for you. I like the theme song though.
I liked it too.
As far as like for fitting the weirdness and the tone of this really strange cartoon, it was just like, okay, we're in for some weird shit. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I like that it kind of had like a swing beat to it, and there was some saxophone featured, which I always like. And they showed off a bunch of the cats. They showed off a bunch of the Melmacians. It was fine. It wasn't the catchiest thing out there, but it was way better than it had any right to be, which is a theme I'll come back to throughout the course of this discussion, I think.
So I liked it once I realized it was the song and not the beginning of the episode.
Just like a musical number to open things up.
Yeah. I thought it was like, oh, there's a lot of singing on this show, and I almost turned it off because I hate that. So, but then I was like, oh, yeah, it's the opening jingle. Why don't I sit through this? And once you realize that, and then I'll tell you right now, for me being a fan of ALF, the fact that they had the live version ALF cutaway after the before they started every episode, just to bring me back to nostalgia, I was like, oh, good, I get to see actual ALF for a little bit.
Weren't they? I think they were airing it like the same time though, weren't they? Or around the same time? I don't have the dates for the live action, but I think it was like a Crypt Keeper situation where they had the
version. Why would you do that?
I like Crypt Keeper.
I mean, because ALF the television show went from 86 to 90.
Yeah, so this was on the same time.
This would have been Crypt Keeping it.
Yeah, it's Crypt Keeper style. So Fusco was doing all kinds of stuff. Good for him.
We're dipping our paws in both kettles. I don't understand.
Inkwells? I don't understand that.
I think it's but he knows more about these jokes than anyone. So.
Yeah, they're Melmacian jokes. So if they don't quite land, probably just like a Melmac to Earth translation problem. But it's all good.
So regarding the theme song, I loved it.
Okay.
I know that Dave. I know that you said that it didn't get stuck in your ear. It wasn't an earworm for you.
No, I don't like the name Gordon. Apologies to any Gordons out there. It's just a weird thing to say. Sorry, Gordon.
I'm drunk, by the way.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
I am. I'm fighting the urge not to sing the song as we're talking about it. Yeah. It really kind of like you said, it sort of had that swing beat, but the entire first maybe like 20 to 25 seconds are all done a cappella. And then
like
we kind of I really like that. It's fun. It kind of actually reminded me a little bit of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, slightly, but for what they were working with and what they had within this show, realize that this is a prequel to the live action ALF, and they're trying to explore a completely alien planet, and you get a little bit of that in some of the cutaways and the scenes that we have that are in this intro. You see that there are more people that are Melmacians than just Gordon. You're kind of exploring and seeing some of the quick, fast, high-paced hijinks that are going to happen in this. But I'll be honest, the song really sold me on it. The lyrics, not so much. But it was really just sort of like the beat, the tempo, the drive of everything that was going on for the music itself. I loved every moment of that. And then when he gets into the saxophone, I was like, I know that this is a callback to him playing the saxophone in the live action show. But I don't know. Again, it hits that mark where it was just, I love horns in theme songs. It just kind of really gets me like pumped up for something. So to have a cappella kind of transitioned into something that was even like smoother jazz, I was like, yeah, I'm on board. I'm ready for this.
So you'd say you're a jazz cat?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
This is going to be all night, I guess.
Yeah,
this really has. This happened?
You guys let him have the bottle of whatever Melmacian liquor he's drinking, so that's on you, but yeah, it's going to be a rough night.
Whatever that cat soda was with the tail twist.
Is that another Gordon that's in the room?
That's just a bad Gordon impression.
That was me. That was me doing bad.
That was you.
I'm just trying to relate to Gordon. I apologize. I apologize, Gordon. I'm just trying to.
I don't sound like that.
All right.
That awkward moment where a host tries to imitate the guest. It's not.
Yeah, and he's staring right at him.
When we're done, don't worry. I'll share with you my Jamaican impression. Dave loves it.
It's the worst.
What?
The worst. Ask him to do his Jamaican and then his Irish impression and see if you can tell the difference between the two.
I can't. There's no difference. I want to say this though too. The thing that I really did enjoy is sort of at the very end of the show, they try to do what looks like it's a Saturday Night Live kind of outro,
or even like a reverse Simpsons intro as an outro.
Right.
Yeah. Where credits are running, but everyone's still.
Everybody, they're folding down the set behind them, and it's sort of like a slower version of the theme song, but it's sort of meant to be that like closing kind of
closing time.
No,
that's exactly right. It's a semisonic outro.
The song that clears out any place that has a bunch of white people.
That is a signal to all white people that like
grab your shit and go.
Just get out of here. I love it when people are in a space that doesn't have like an audio system or like a jukebox that has that song, and they just start yelling it over top of people. And every white person's just like,
when that organically happens, it's the best. Yeah. We've all just kind of agreed that we all need to be other places at this point.
That's what that song means.
Yeah.
Use that. Anybody listening? Use that power to your advantage.
Seriously, it works.
If it's something where like you roll into a place where if you roll into like a spot or a location, like, where white people congregate, like a Dave and Buster's.
So like almost anywhere.
Yeah, and you just want to get rid of a line, just semisonic them, and they will get the fuck out.
Just like lemmings.
This place is closed.
Yeah, it's done. It's official. Anything else for this theme song, intro or outro?
Now let's get into this. Let's get into this design.
Let's talk animation style, because I was actually really surprised by how good this looked.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Jamal, what were your thoughts?
What did it? Okay, so this animation style reminded me of Dragon Ball GT.
Oh, go on.
It's interesting because that was what, like 15 years later?
Yes, the way in which the characters are drawn felt like, because you get into the deep Dragon Ball GT where it's like they're fighting. Goku and Vegeta are finally turning SSJ4, and it's like it felt the same like look of like the shaggy on like all the hair was like a little bit shaggy, but like there's no like what I'm gonna say, like the line, like some cartoons have lines that kind of like move with them.
Sure.
But this is like how they're drawn. I feel like it's just a stencil copy, and everyone looks the same. Like in every shot, you look the same, but your head's turned. Like it's very
okay.
And like the colors aren't like vibrant colors. They're like those colors, but they're toned, like almost like turn the lights down on the colors on the entire world. It just reminded me of Dragon Ball GT's animation style. Colors in your face. They're like, oh, you see, he's turquoise, but he's not bright.
Well, I agree with you. I think the entire color palette for all of this is a lot of browns and a lot of earth tones, because of the different color that they had. So I feel like the only way that they could really make things pop are either in the background or in the shirts that people would wear to have them be like very vibrant colors. But if you remember Alf, like his kind of snout, I'm sorry, Gordon, your snout is kind of like, it's like a lighter brown. And then like your hair
it's called a beak.
Okay, your beak. Okay, beak. I stand corrected.
It's a flesh
so your beak,
right?
Yeah,
it's
kind
flesh beak.
Okay, so your flesh beak is sort of like a slightly like browner kind of like a light brown.
It's a taupe.
A taupe. Okay, that makes sense. And then like your hair and the hair of most Melmacians, then what would you say what color that is?
That's a dark taupe.
A lot of taupe going on here. All right, fair. All right.
All derivations of taupe.
Yeah.
I it's interesting because I think what you're saying about GT is that complaints that we've had sometimes with other cartoons, like he is covered in fur, but that fur really like never moves around. Yeah. Like the fur kind of feels like it's very static, very rigid. There's not a lot of life to their hair.
Well, he's right in front of you guys. Is it like if you give him a rub, is it like, does the fur move? Is it like really shaggy?
He does not want us to touch him.
He said earlier, I said because of episode 2, don't touch my hair.
Okay, now that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's also a good teach. Yeah.
It brings back bad memories for him, I think, so that's why he does it.
I wonder if he still has some of that bad juju going on, but we'll get to that in the episode discussion. Yeah.
I'll touch you all later and find out.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's been drinking a lot.
Oh, boy.
He's super.
Well, he touched the top of my head earlier, and that's predominantly why I'm growing bald.
Have your pubes come
Why,
back.
What?
We call them poobs on Melmac.
Yeah,
is that they're called
lost in
poobs
translation.
on
It's
Melmac?
poobs.
Poobs.
Are they taupe as well? I'm sorry if that's a personal question, but are they a variety?
Say that again?
Are your poobs a variety of taupe as well?
They're all taupe.
All taupe. Taupe poobs.
Taupe and gray.
Taupe and gray.
Taupe and gray. It's my favorite indie band. I love them.
So the other thing I'll say is that because this cartoon is, what was it? It was Deke Animation and I think Saban.
Yeah, it was definitely go ahead.
So that the contemporaries that we have for this cartoon at this time are a lot of creatures and anthropomorphic creatures from that time. So we've like Chippendales, Rescue Rangers were in this time. We had DuckTales, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We even had Thundercats around this same time as well, a little bit earlier, closer to more mid-'80s. But that was the point where they're trying to kind of anthropomorphize a lot of these things, and instead of, in a true Disney fashion, they're not giving anybody pants. It's just like, here's a t-shirt. Like, you wear this now.
Here's your
Everyone
Hawaiian
just
shirt.
has a t-shirt.
Yeah, here's your Hawaiian shirt. Here's your Tommy Bahama dress shirt.
What's interesting though is the cartoons that you mentioned were more cartoony, right? They were more just like kind of cartoony looking characters. Whereas I was actually really impressed with Alf that it looked like they were trying to make these creatures, these alien life forms, look real, like look like they actually like existed. They were trying to give them some sort of dimension to them. They had a fair amount of detail to them, and I thought it was pretty consistent throughout. It didn't look very, I don't know, it didn't look very like silly or kidsy. And then matching with the theme of the shows, a lot of the stuff really wasn't for kids. It wasn't like dirty or adult or anything, but it was just kind of like the situations that they got into were just like, how many kids experience like going bald or having to go to work for like a shitty boss, or they were just kind of like weird things that they're more on the level of like a Duckman or Dr. Katz, something else more than just like a kid show. And I think the animation matched that. It actually reminded me kind of like the real Ghostbusters, or even like some of the really good animated movies of the time, of like the late 80s.
Okay,
Just like
that makes
level
sense
of
too. I
detail.
mean, Ghostbusters was definitely a contemporary and around that too.
I'll say that for the animation, like it looks still on their fur, but if it was being manipulated by another character, that's when they'd go into detail and like show you the fur moving or like the follicles being touched or someone's like shirt being yanked. But other than that, it was like your shirt never moved, your fur never moved. You could be running around, nothing ever moved, but like unless someone was directly influencing your body.
Got it.
Yeah, I was still fine with it as far as like the animation of it, the motion of it. I didn't think was very janky. There weren't any moments that like kind of took me out of it, and I was just like, "What am I watching? Like, why are they cutting these corners?" It looked like highly produced quality animation for the time. I was actually pretty surprised because we've watched some real shit lately that from all different decades, 80s, 90s, and current. That sometimes it's just you can see where they cut corners.
Get your shit together, Berserk.
It was very skilled. Ask me where we got the animators.
Hey Gordon, where did you guys get the animators?
The Catskills.
Oh boy.
So is that
and you
what
walk
these
right
IPAs
into that,
he's
I
drinking?
I'm sorry.
These are IPAs he's drinking?
Yeah, these are it's a 120-minute IPA from Dogfish Head.
And he's got like a full empty case already.
Yeah.
So,
And he's also part dog, so that's going to go through his metabolism.
I don't know that he is, but I don't really want to get into like speciation stuff here. It's probably for another.
Yeah. What I do want to get into though is something that I realized after rewatching, and this is going to kind of tie together some of the design as well as also the theme song. So I went back and I watched the original theme music intro for the live action album.
Okay.
Do you guys remember this?
I do not.
Did it have lyrics?
Okay. It didn't have any lyrics. Okay. It's all guitar and slap bass.
Okay.
Also shows my spaceship crashing.
I didn't catch that one.
I think it's right in the beginning, isn't it?
I don't remember. The one that I remember watching or the one that I watched for tonight is the intro where he's holding like a VHS camera, and it's originally shot all in first person.
That's right.
And
That's
him
right.
walking around the house.
And so it's how he introduces like Max Wright and the rest of all the
credits.
people who are in the family, and how he kind of gets into it. And you see him for like a couple seconds at one point when it sort of like pans around to him
when he does the first selfie.
Yeah, when he does
the very first selfie.
Yeah, congratulations, Gordon, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but you do hold the record for the first selfie.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't remember though, at the very end of the intro, we have Alf putting the VHS camera down on the ground and kind of framing it up for a family photo.
Oh, I do remember that.
And then he walks
which was
in front of the camera in a suit. Like a foot, like it's not. There's a human in this suit now.
What?
Clearly,
there was a human in the suit. It was not a puppet.
You mean it was just it was Gordon? Like I don't know why you're saying a human in a suit. I feel like it's a kind of racist
stunt double.
Stunt double, because I don't think that Gordon did all of his stunts.
That makes sense. I thought you were
also
going
didn't
weird
do
with
all my selfies.
I'll be honest with you though, with his drinking habits as they are now, I feel like maybe he was like, "I'll be in my trailer," and like,
probably,
is that what you would say?
Well, having a cat nap.
Oh my god,
Nice.
Probably something like that.
Set you up for that one. But so when he goes and he stands next to Benji Gregory, who is playing Brian Tanner, he is the same height as the youngest kid in the family. So does that mean that we're led to believe that the scale of everything on Melmac is that where it's sort of adjusted for a 10, 11-year-old boy?
Do we know the age of Alf when he landed?
He was like 125, I think.
So that's full height.
Yeah. Because if this show's supposed to be a prequel, he could have even been smaller in the animated series.
I think he was adult in the animated series, though. He should have been at full Melmacian height.
But he's still living at home, though.
Well,
that's true.
I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm just saying, like, he doesn't seem like he's an independent Melmacian at that point. So maybe that's a sign of adulthood. Maybe his friends seem to all be living on their own. I mean, we don't really get into Skip and was it Rick?
He does come from like a prestigious family. I mean, he is the grandson of a supreme commander of the Orbit Guard. So
that's true. So I mean, maybe that's like maybe they do something like where families live together for a certain period of time. I don't know exactly what the
so it's Japan
cultural or anthropological studies. I mean, I was gonna say something like how like longhouses for Algonquin Indians.
Also, also very relevant and timely comparison. Yeah.
That's what I was. Come on, Dave.
If we can get through one episode without referencing the Algonquins, I'll be thrilled.
We have done
every week.
plenty
It's
of
the
that.
Algonquins with you,
guys. It's the only
Every
like
week.
7th grade social studies reference that I have. So I'm working with minimal.
Sean and I are
minimal
actually
hype.
we're building a longhouse that Sean and myself are going to move into, as well as all former and future guests of SMC. We're all going to move in together.
And you are not
Algonquin
fucking
style.
with me because I'm going to go back and listen to all of our episodes to make sure that I haven't made an Algonquin reference.
It's literally every episode.
It is not every
Every
episode.
Is that a mountain chain you're talking about?
The Algonquins.
Is that a mountain chain?
It is now.
It is
I'm
now.
I'm getting tapped on my shoulder. I hiked the Cadirondacks.
Oh my!
I don't know why he would tap me to say that.
I mean, you can just come closer
can
to the
just
mic
say
at
it,
any
yeah,
point in
you're
time.
fine.
Just
Gordon.
scoot in.
It's not a
It's
problem.
getting a
Not a
little
big deal,
It's
buddy.
getting a little boozy in the booth though, but I think
Yeah.
we're going to be okay. I would just like to say that I would like to vacation on Melmac. I think that'd be amazing because I'd be like twice as tall as anybody else there, which would be kind of fun.
You'd stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
No cap.
Nothing there. I thought, is there?
No, I'm saying sore thumbs are a big thing in Melmac.
Oh, I
Like
got it. So
a
it's a good
sore.
thing.
I'm surprised you didn't say like a sore paw.
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, he's giving you a look like he's letting
Oh,
go.
you didn't like that?
He like
Don't
doesn't
tell him
want to
how
get
to
into
do
his
his
jokes.
jokes.
It's almost
Like
like
a-
you're getting to like a personal thing about
Like a
Melmacians.
like a sore dew claw.
No.
Yeah.
Cats have dew claws,
I
right?
don't some cats have.
I don't
duplo.
think when
remember.
Melmacian comedians like it when Earthlings tell them how to tell their Melmacian jokes. I'm just
Yeah, they probably.
sensing.
I don't think that's. We have cats here too. We understand.
Have you seen?
know,
I
feelings.
actually haven't
Melmac.
seen mine around. He's usually around, but for the last like 40 minutes, I haven't seen him. You guys seen him?
No.
Anybody?
Ha!
Okay, I'm just gonna take that as a drunk.
Cat got your tongue.
Oh my God!
Oh, boy.
Why do we keep
Well, speaking of
bump
Melmacs,
setting and letting you spike?
there's a bunch of other Melmacians on this planet. So before we get into some of the plot points from tonight's episode, let's talk about some of these other characters. So we've obviously got Gordon Shumway, and we have the privilege of having him right there in the booth. So we don't need to talk too much about his character. But is there anything that kind of stood out from Alf's performance in the animated series for you guys?
That he's so laid back, even in, especially in the third episode, so laid back, even in situations that are supposed to be pretty serious. Like,
Yeah.
he loses something that's top secret, and he's just like making jokes and being carefree with the sergeant the entire time. Like, it's no
Sergeant
big deal.
Staff. Yeah.
Yeah,
He-
Sergeant Staff.
He's also kind of a dick. Like
Yeah.
he calls him a moron to his face, and there's like that awkward pause even in the episode when he says it of like, "Oh, the guard trusted me with the key. He's a bigger moron than you are." It's just the
It
pause
kind of
as he opens the door.
But you like Gordon, you were just like it was awkward, and then there was like that beat where I guess there should have been like a but and then you just kind of like walked away from it.
It actually kind of reminds me, you mentioned Rodney Dangerfield earlier. It reminds me of a little bit of like Chevy Chase too. So it's sort of that, like he's got that charisma that he can get away with stuff, but he's also kind of a dick and a real smart ass at times. And I liked it. For the most part, the comedy I think worked pretty well for the character.
He does have on the Griswold vacation.
He
shirt
does,
as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah.
The Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. So what about some of these other characters? Does anybody really stand out to you? Any of these other supporting characters?
Ooh.
Ooh.
His chubby friend with the severe stutter, Rick.
Oh boy.
Yep.
So in the second episode, when he loses his hair, he starts to look just like the Star Wars X-wing pilot Ming-Yun.
He does. He does.
Right.
If that helps
So-
your visual.
That was a big thing. 'Cause as soon as I saw that, I was like, I've seen this guy before somewhere.
Rich visual tapestry with that reference.
I think it's those cheek wrinkles that really sell
Yeah,
it.
it is. It's the cheek wrinkles. And then he's bald. I'm like, I've seen this guy somewhere.
I will say this though, for Rick, I feel that I'm conflicted with this because on one hand, I don't think in 160 plus episodes that we have ever had a character that stutters like that. Maybe we have.
Severely.
Not that
Like-
severely. We've had other characters from like older episodes where they have like a little bit of a speech impediment, or maybe they have a little bit of a lisp, or like I think from Ed, Ed, and Eddie, what was that kid with the braces? Joey. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He had a bit of a lisp.
Yeah.
There's a couple others, but not nearly as pronounced as Rick.
Yeah, it was within the first couple seconds, I immediately thought, oh, this is cool. I've never seen anybody like this. And I had a friend growing up that had a really bad stutter. And, it was something where he stuttered throughout middle school. And then he went to one of those like speech camps and came back a month later.
After shock therapy.
Right.
It was not shock therapy. Yep. But he was like, it was much better. But every once in a while, like, he would really get into it. But he had a really bad stutter. And everybody gave him shit. I gave him shit myself. Sure. But it was more like we lived very close to each other, and so it was something where he'd get real pissed off about it, but then walking home he'd be like, "You want to come in and play Twisted Metal on PlayStation?" I'd be like, "Hell yeah, man, that's 100%."
And then you'd be like, "How many T's was in that?"
Oh, Jesus.
Was he a kid that, like, as he got angrier at you, did he stutter more? Like, as he got more and more flustered?
when he got frustrated, he would stutter more.
I'll tell you what's frustrating with stutters is reading Stephen King's It and reading Bill's stutter, because Bill's like a very famous stuttering character in that story, but he spells out every stuttered word. And it's like...
That's the clown movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The remake?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if they're going to use that stutter to like that extent in there, because that's a big part of his character. But nothing to do with this. I just was also frustrated by reading that, but yeah.
So the conflict that I had with this became, we've never had somebody with a severe speech impediment the way that we had for Rick, juxtaposed by every time he would talk, it seemed to be more than Gordon than your other friend, Skip, that we had. And so they really gave Rick a lot of dialogue. And like halfway through like one paragraph, I was like, oh, I've had
it's like we got it.
I get it.
But it was funny for moments, like when he was trying to pronounce Mrs. Poughkeepsie or Madam Poughkeepsie.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. That was fine. I thought they used it for like specific moments. It was fine. When they overused it in just like casual conversation, it was a little bit much.
Yeah.
Gordo.
You think they were trying to do a Max Headroom thing at the time?
I think that there were parts where I really felt that maybe they were thinking to themselves, we could probably gain an extra 15 to 20 seconds out of this.
And just repeat that keyframe animation over and over again.
Yeah.
For that same thing. Let me ask you guys something. We mentioned Madame Poughkeepsie here, and we'll get into this in the plot in a second, but she's kind of a fortune teller. Somehow my notes say fortune smeller. I don't really know why.
All right.
I'm wondering.
It's called a beak.
A flesh beak. I think we've established that, right?
Flesh beak.
It's taupe.
It's a light taupe.
It's a light taupe flesh beak.
It's a dark taupe.
Actually,
well, the fur I
fur
think you
is
said
darker
was dark
taupe.
The beak is just a taupe.
Just a taupe.
Yeah, I think I just ordered a light taupe flesh beak from Amazon the other day. We'll see when that gets in.
Oh boy.
Good luck.
Thanks, appreciate it.
have fun.
Have
fun. Be safe.
Yeah, be safe. So, Madam Poughkeepsie, I want to know, on Melmac, what do you think? Like, does magic exist? Do curses exist? What's the deal here between that and the technology of this planet? What's going on?
Well, clearly it has to some way. Apparently, rhyming has a lot to do with it. If you can just random rhymes, apparently do something when you're
as long as you're holding a crystal ball, though, right?
As long as you're holding a crystal ball and you do any kind of rhyme, something comes out of it. So I feel like magic has to be in play.
Sean, what are your thoughts between that and like the tech that they have? Because it's definitely like an alien tech that we don't necessarily have here.
Yeah, I mean, we have like hovering cars and hover bikes, all the cool things that we have probably said that we wanted from a Back to the Future seem to be present in on Melmac. So I definitely think it is a kind of an interesting blend of science and mysticism. Mm-hmm. I definitely feel that it's more science and technology heavy, and I feel like the magic that happens in here is sort of like maybe like one of those like unspoken dark kind of like not really talked about. It's a taboo. It felt more taboo.
So you're saying that Melmac is a planet where Scientology has rightfully been allowed to flourish and prosper? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, according to my Zeta scan. And all of the demons that are inside me, 100%.
And I'm pretty sure Gord a lot of people.
A lot of feet. That's
that he's dealing with. So, what did you say?
I think I said
Zeta
Zetas?
Zeta Max.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but me and Dave are talking about Scientology. So, Gordon has a lot of thetans in his body, and so that's like your malchlorians.
I was gonna say Sean has midichlorians, was his whole
midichlorians.
What did I
Are you
say?
talking about You said like mitochlorians?
I said malchlorians.
Malchlorians?
Mitochondrians, I think, is what you meant to say.
In Melmac, it's called malchlorians.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So,
Gordon, final ruling?
Yeah, Gordon, anything? Cat. All right,
Just full of cats.
He's real
three
shit
sheets
faced
to
right
the
now.
wind right now.
Oh boy.
Man, that combination, that breath of IPA and cat is that's a tough aroma.
I'm sitting right next to it. It's rough.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's a rough night. So let's keep this going. Speaking of cats and other creatures.
Why would that be? Is that a dog pun, Gordon?
He did a dog sound.
Jesus.
Ha!
So there's other cats, but there's other like weird alien creatures on planet Melmac as well. What's going on? Did you guys have a favorite? Because we had at least 4 different things that we saw beyond cats.
Yeah, it was like a small beanbag chair dodo bird.
My favorite was in the 3rd episode, just the what's his name? The general, the bad guy general.
Oh,
who was hairless?
Yeah, he was.
I want to know what race that is.
Was that Larson Petty or was it somebody else?
It was or was it Egbert Petty?
Egbert was the smaller one, wasn't he?
Was Egbert the smaller
I think Egbert was
General Petty.
Because I was because he was General Petty, but we have General Petty then making when he gets the top secret item, he goes excellent.
Ooh.
To really kind of drive that point home.
I thought it was Larson because they said they didn't want Larson Petty getting his hands on it, so I thought that was the older one, but it might not have been. It might have been the little guy.
I'm confused about that one myself.
I want to know why they're hairless. Like, I want to know.
Just to like separate them as weirdos, I guess. Maybe they have like alopecia or something. I don't know what's going on with them.
And just to be very clear, there is a Larson Petty and there is an Egbert Petty as well. And so I guess, Dave, I think you are correct. I think that Larson Petty is the main villain, and I think that Egbert is the little tiny sneak thief guy.
His son?
Maybe?
I don't know what's going on with them.
Does alopecia run rampant on Melmac? Especially within
maybe within families,
faction general governments
that
are trying to usurp.
Maybe that's why they're trying to come here and get our Propecia or whatever we use to fix that. Propecia? That might be a veterinary thing. I have no idea.
No. Propecia is a
hair.
It's a hair loss supplement.
Interesting.
Definitely is.
I gotta say, I think
ask me how I know.
we're gonna skip right on over that one. I gotta say that I think my favorite critter is probably the one that shows up in episode 2, which we might as well just get into. And it's this weird little reptilian sidekick of Madame Poughkeepsie. Yeah.
Eugene!
Who just kind of like hangs out and just like cackles like a weird little gremlin, or like that thing that hangs out with Jabba the Hutt. But then at a point in the episode, it becomes like a henchman. Like she uses her voodoo witch Scientology magic to like grow this thing to ridiculous proportions. And it just like leads into a chase across the city. I thought that was a really cool moment, a lot of fun. Something I definitely did not expect. And a cool way to turn like kind of this sideshow character into a part of the plot. I thought that was really neat. And it was stuff like that kept happening in this show, that they just took a complete 180 or they took a weird left turn at times that I did not expect. And I thought that was really fun. Were there any plot moments that stood out to you guys in these 2 episodes that we watched?
So the first episode, the episode number 2, Hair Today, Bald Tomorrow, when he goes back to the, what do you want to call it? The sorceress, the
fortune smeller,
right?
whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Goes back to the fortune smeller shop, and he's now disguised in a trench coat and in a hat and the thing over his scarf.
He was trying to be a lady though, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was the scarf over his beak.
His flesh beak.
His flesh beak. He goes in it. She knows right away who he is, so she's not falling for it. But he still does the entire act of like, oh, I heard so many nice things. Like he changes his voice and he's like, I heard you do certain things here. You can get rid of spells.
I like that he's insulting her the entire time though.
Yeah, that was great.
Which I think she also picks up on. Doesn't she lob one back at him, I believe?
I think she gets really frustrated towards the end. And like when she explains like that grand quest
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Yes.
It was like a straight like D&D level, like, well, if you want to cure your family member's baldness, you have to like take this year-long journey, defeat the horned beast, bring back the golden egg of whatever.
Yeah.
That whole thing was ridiculous. So it's stuff like that that's just like out of nowhere.
That was my favorite part of the second episode.
You like that?
Just coming back, because that's an iconic image of him in that trench coat. And that
It
hat.
is, for a variety of reasons. John, did you have any favorite moments from either episode?
Yeah, I think during that episode 2, the hair today, bald tomorrow, when he comes home with the curse and he's sort of doubting it, and then he meets his dog. You meet his family dog, which is called like Neep.
Yep.
Like Neep, Neep, and like the dog like kind of like very excitedly like jumps towards him, pets the dog, and then just like all of its fur just like it molts like immediately, and you're just like, what?
That was my favorite part of that episode, was like his reverse kind of, well, not reverse, just like a bastardized Midas touch, where like everything he touched would just lose hair. It led to a lot of really funny comedic moments and some like cool moments of like drama throughout that episode.
And,
like his little sister trying to jump on him, the dog trying to jump on him.
That's what I was leading up to. I think my favorite part was like his sister Augie is so insistent. When he finally comes home, she's like, I couldn't sleep and I just want to hug. And you're like, what? No, don't do it.
He like bounces her into the ceiling.
Yeah, like through the ceiling, out the window.
He lifts the couch up at one point, ricochets her into the next level of the house. Like he jumps, like she jumps down. He's like getting ready, like he ducks aside and she jumps out a window at some point. Like it's crazy. And it's that kind of unexpected, wacky cartoon antics. I thought maybe for some reason I thought that Alf would possibly be a little bit more grounded and kind of boring in the same way that maybe a Howard the Duck would be. But I was pleasantly surprised that this was just like, no, we're going to be really silly. Like there is an entire scene in that second episode where they have a chase on the rooftop with this creature that Dave's talking about, Eugene. And at one point when he finally hands this thing, like he hands the crystal ball back to Eugene and he touches him with this like reverse weird Midas touch hair giving and then taking away immediately power that he has. He touches Eugene and Eugene grows like this Elvis like hair on top of him, and he's like, hey, do you know where I can find like a good time around here? He's like,
he was like
don't worry about it,
all
I'll be on my way. And you're just like, what the fuck was that? Like
apparently when anyone gets hair in that world on Melmac, it's now time to go hit up the bar.
It's like they get like really weirdly sexual all of a sudden. It's like, what?
I want to change my favorite moment because this made me think of another moment when they're doing the chase and Rick jumps but doesn't make it, and then Alf is standing there looking at him. He's like, oh,
yep. He's like, sorry, bud.
He's like, sorry, Rick. He just picks him up and the hair's
and look.
He's like, sorry.
Like, it's funny enough if it was just like us, right? Like, we lose the hair on the top of our head, and the rest of us too, but you wouldn't really notice it that much, except for we'd all be bald and wouldn't have eyebrows. But for the Melmacians, they're covered in dark taupe hair. So it's like their entire body is covered in hair, and it's gone. It's funny because it'll affect dogs, birds, fish, everything in between. So it's like that was a real problem there for a while. I wasn't sure if he was going to get it fixed or not, but luckily, thanks to the voodoo, he's all back to normal.
Hey, real quick, Gordon, since it looks like you're sobering up a little bit, did you have a favorite moment? Something that you would say after having like lived through and done this, something that you felt was a perfect representation of how you would feel about the show?
Awful. Gordon?
When I finally got my book finished.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
When'd you get that finished? Did you do that right meow?
Doesn't work when you do it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not
Gordon, I apologize.
when you do it because it's kind of like his thing. So
yeah, I know. I'm trying to. I feel bad, like I insulted him earlier. I'm just trying to relate.
Yeah, I think you're just kind of
back to him. Is this getting really heavy-handed?
Yeah.
Well, he's fell asleep again.
Oh, that's nice. We probably just let him go.
In a cat litter box. I don't even own a cat. How the fuck?
He brought his own. It was on his list. Yeah.
In his rider.
On his rider.
In the Gordon rider. For being on.
Technically, the Shumway rider. He brought his whole family with him. They're hanging out in the back.
All right.
The good news is my stray cat problem in the alley is all cleared up.
Oh. Upside.
Yeah. What do they call that? What's the British term for that?
Meat pie?
There it is. Yeah, let's call it meat pie.
Sweeney Todd? I have no idea.
Swings and roundabouts.
That's sure. That's what it
Swings
is.
and roundabouts?
Swings and roundabouts.
Did you guys have any
Okay.
moments in the third episode that we watched? Anything you want to talk about there? That one didn't really stick out to me as much. It was okay. It was more kind of like
I
a
had
weird
more-
caper chase thing.
I had more questions in that
Yeah.
episode than I felt like there was substance. The whole thing seems to begin with a moment of road rage or drunk driving where this sergeant staff basically crashes a car into a military base and then immediately blames it on Alf, who you find, which is a little bit of, I guess, interesting Melmacian history, that Alf is a private in the military and he's also a mechanic.
Yeah.
So in those moments, you're like, oh, those feel like two essential pieces of information that are really nice to have. Sort of, I don't know. It gave more of a rich history to Alf, to Gordon himself.
Yeah, but that was kind of, for me, that was kind of the only...
That was it.
That was it for the episode. It wasn't really anything else
Yeah.
that was a standout. It was fun. It was just like your classic kind of switcheroo, mix-up, caper goof fest. And it got to show some of the other kind of characters and stuff. Oh, I did remember another favorite part from that other episode, and then we'll shift to closing this up here. But when Alf is cursed, and he almost gets arrested, well, pulled over by a cop, and then he also uses his curse on that cop, and like literally all the cop's hair falls off, and he loses, like, he was this big hulking guy, and he just shrinks down to like nothing. That was just a funny moment to me. It made me wonder what Chewbacca actually looks like without all that hair.
Ooh.
Kind of curious.
Has there
Oh, there's gotta be out there.
tweet at Dr. Claw
Please
MD pictures of what you think a nude Wookiee
Please
looks
don't.
like? Please do.
They can still have clothes. Like, keep that bandolier on them. Just shave a Wookiee. Hashtag shave a Wookiee. It's fine.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
I'll say my only moment from the third episode that sticks out is when they go back to the diner, and as they're like sitting there thinking that they're in trouble, Alf orders a Mel Bogobian cola with a twist of tail.
Who doesn't
And
love
then
a
he
twisted
drinks
tail?
it. He drinks it and has this like almost like LSD like reaction to it, and then says, "Oh, it's kind of weak."
I'll have another.
Yeah, I'll have another. Even though it looks like it like knocked him out. Like, but he's like, "I'll have another." It was kind of weak.
Guys, when we
I mean,
when we trip into Melmac,
Ooh.
when we road tripping,
Soon.
yeah. You guys doing any
good
shows
gifts,
there? No shows.
I mean, we could.
I'd love if I could to take a catamaran when we get there. I heard
Damn
those
it.
are pretty
That's it.
good.
We're
See,
done.
you can't do
Well,
that
I
because
can't. He
he's
still sleeps, so he
it's
doesn't
sort of.
hear that.
I mean, I know he's passed out, but I
Would you say he's catatonic? I can't really see him from here.
Jesus.
I had to get one.
Oh, you
in.
woke him up.
Oh, you
I
woke him
know, I
up.
woke him
you
up with
woke him
a
up. Way
terrible
to go.
pun.
Thanks a lot,
Apologies.
Dave.
Apologies.
A great pun pulls me out of the dream space anytime.
Well, any final thoughts from you guys before we get to some other opinions here?
I wish I had watched more episodes.
Yeah, I
In preparation, like I wish we had done like 5.
kind of
Just
liked
to get a
it.
full
Yeah,
taste
I
of
was
it,
kind of
but-
surprised.
Yeah.
It was just a walk down memory lane for me. I would say I probably am gonna go back and watch more.
Nice.
Okay.
Because
Cool.
there's a playlist that works on YouTube. So
Yeah.
gonna go watch that.
Watch it on 1 1/4 speed. You'll get through it quicker, and it'll
Yes, that's the next thing I'm gonna do is watch it on
it'll
that.
pick up the pace too. All right, cool. So we have our own opinions, but obviously other people out there have some as well. Now, normally this is our love it, hate it section of the show, but nobody really hated this, at least from the 2 reviews that exist on IMDb. So we're going to read both of them 100% in their entirety. Sean has the first.
All right, so we have this is from 2006, D. Fairless from the United States, with a title that says, "This series should be on DVD." I remember 2 things about this show besides how much I liked it. They are Madame Poughkeepsie, from one of the episodes we watched tonight, a fortune teller that Gordon would visit, and the episode with the
Booyah baseball.
Booyah baseball game where fish were used instead of balls. The cat problem became quite severe after the 6th inning on hot days for reasons you can probably imagine. It is definitely a show for a more mature audience than little kids and should be considered as one of the early examples of the animation renaissance that Ren and Stimpy and The Simpsons started. If it ever becomes available on DVD, I will camp out at the store to get my copy. 3 backslashes in a row.
Yeah, that was just to separate the two reviews, but that's fine. Feel free to read those as well. It's totally fine to read stage notes.
Some people use carriage returns, or some people bang away on that colon and that semicolon key. But
Boy. Some people are tab people, some people are...
Yeah, some people
I'm
are
going to
space
throw pounds
people.
out there next time and see what you say.
Oh, Jesus.
Yikes. Okay, so the second review, also from a lover out there. This one's by the name Richard Adams from Capitola, California. He titles his review, Witty and Clever Humor on a Saturday Morning. I recall watching this show and finding it much funnier than the live series. Gordon, Rick, and Skip were like a furry Three Stooges, getting into bizarre and hilarious predicaments, while the Bird and Curtis taunted. Bob is a semi-competent inventor, and Flo the wise, yet not cliched mother. This would be a great set to own on DVD. Edit. Their edit, not my edit. I have picked up a couple ALF DVDs. ALF Animated Adventures, 20,000 Years in Driving School, and Other Stories, and ALF Tales, Alf and the Beanstalk, and other classic fairy tales. Holy shit, that's a lot of DVDs. Animated Adventures, I swear, have been edited. I have several of these on old VHS tapes and will compare, but could swear there was a Birdland song in Birdman of Melmac. 8 out of 10 stars. So that's a lot of DVDs,
Wow.
and it sounds like maybe there's more out there. I don't know. I was waiting for another edit from Richard Adams to let us know the status of the edit, but it's been 10, 12 years.
If you're out there, buddy, let us know.
It's been a while.
He is out.
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I don't know that for certain, but I want him to be out there. I want an update. I want to know.
Come on, Richard. Let us know. We'll give you our contact info in a bit, but first, we'd like to say, Jamal, thanks again for joining us on the show and suggesting
Thank
ALF,
you.
the animated series.
Thank you. Next time I'll remember what I really want to watch.
What you really want to? What you really want to watch?
Be doing.
Yeah, he
Spice
was.
Girls.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
He was trying to get you to the
right
chicka chicka, but it didn't work.
Glad I got.
No.
So where can the folks out there
yeah.
in social media land find you, and what are you going to be up to over the next couple of weeks?
Oh, do we want to do recommend, or do we want to do whether we?
Oh,
recommend
crap.
it?
Yeah, I guess we should do that before we jump to the end of the show.
I recommend it. Go watch it. It's ALF. Come on.
Come on. All right, Sean. So recommend, and if you don't, does it get the dip?
I recommend this as well. I thought that it was a sort of an interesting addition to the ALF lore. I thought it was interesting if you're a fan of ALF, and I actually remember as I was watching the show tonight, I remembered that I had an ALF stuffed animal, and it had one of those like
Flesh beaks.
buttons that you could God, come on, you would like press a button on like the middle of it, and he would like do a catchphrase.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that wasn't like
it-
irritating at all.
like I mean, it wasn't, because I was at the point where that show was like at its like peak in popularity, and I thought it was really funny. Gordon, if you could do one, he used to say like "Here, kitty, kitty."
Here, kitty, kitty.
Yeah, just like
Perfect.
that, just like me being 7 again. Perfect. Thank
Nicely
you, man.
done.
Did we want to ask him if he wants to recommend his own show?
Hey, good call. Gordon, would you recommend your show, or we do this thing where we give it the dip, which is based off of the animated show Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you can erase the cartoon that you were in from the annals of history. So would you recommend it, or would you not recommend it? And if you don't recommend it, you want to dip.
Ha! I recommend my own show.
Ah, good
Watch
deal.
one episode and you'll get cat scratch fever. I feel like that was a big setup.
Yeah,
Just
I
to do
feel like that was a
part.
real big
Yeah.
setup.
You just
but-
wanted to-
I really can't even
Yeah.
follow that up, though.
Dave, how you feeling about the show, though?
I'm going to say I'll recommend it too. I mean, even if you haven't actually watched the live action show before, check out the cartoon. You honestly don't need to know what's going on in the live action show to appreciate this. It was actually a way better quality than I expected. I thought it was just going to be a kind of a crappy knockoff, but it was a lot of fun. Granted, we only got to see 2 episodes of it, but out of the 26 that exist, and apparently a half dozen DVDs that are out there, there's plenty of content to enjoy. So I'd say check it out. Now back to Jamal. Where can the folks find you out there, and what are you up to over the next couple of weeks?
You can find me on social media, on Instagram, where I post on Throwback Thursday a bunch of photos I took the night before. At Hello Newman, the O is a 0. Same for Twitter. You can find me there. I don't do much on Twitter, but you can find out about shows and stuff. And I'd like to plug that Washington Improv Theater is doing a summer school run from July 13th to August 6th. And I'm in a show called Yearbook.
Yeah.
Come relive your high school experience, or at least see one of us in the cast portray your high school experience on stage every Saturday night at 9:30 p.m. at Source Theater. Again, that's July 13th through August 6th.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Sean, buddy, what are you up to?
Guys, as always, I perform live improv comedy in Washington, D.C. For the same theater that Jamal performs at, which is Washington Improv Theater, with a group that's called Nox. That's NOX exclamation point. You can check out showtimes and buy tickets at witdc.org. And as always, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis.
We have all that information up on our website as long as the internet exists. As long and as far as it is the internet. So if you
Galaxy Super,
it is super close. I'm sorry, I've been packing for my trip to Melmac. My head's like not in the game tonight. So if you want to find me on Twitter, you can do so at Dr. Claw MD. You can also check my work out on Collider.com, Nerdist.com, and DaveTrumbore.com. If you're interested in finding out more about this particular show right here, we'd appreciate it if you head on over to Patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons. Remember, that's morning with a U. You can also head on over to our website, SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. Check us out on Twitter at MorningTunes. Take a look at Sean's handiwork on our Instagram page. Keep the conversation going on Facebook. And listen to our free audio podcast each and every week through YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. If you have a question for Gordon or just want to give us a heads up, send us an email, SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. That's going to wrap it up for this special Melmacian edition of the show tonight. Next week, Sean, buddy, are we going to take pollution down to 0?
Oh, man, we sure
can't
are.
wait.
We are.
No, sorry. You're.
What? No.
That's it's going to do it for you there, Gordon.
I don't think so. Gordon, we're gonna get 5 multicultural kids together with different rings. And
man, Gordon Shumway as a Planeteer would have been a thing to see.
Yeah.
What, Gordon? Last question for you, if we can help it. What, if you were a Planeteer, what power would you like to have?
The sense of smell of a dog.
It's a great. What does that ring look like?
Is it just
Is
like
a dog?
like
Just a
snout?
snout
Is it
on a
snout, like
tote.
a dog,
A tote
dog
snout?
tote? God damn it. It's a dog flesh beak. I mean, I'm just sorry. I was just...
Are cat cafes a real thing?
What?
Yeah,
Cat
there's one
cafes.
here. Just opened up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Come on down to Atlanta.
Really?
Just opened up. It's literally called the Cat Cafe.
Oh, I'm booking my next
Come on
trip.
down.
Well, we could maybe we could do a swapsies, and we stay at your place in Melmac, and you stay at Dave's
That'd
in
be great.
Atlanta.
Oh, Air CNC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's the CNC?
Cat and breakfast.
That's
I don't think he understands.
No,
man.
so they spell breakfast
what a
with the
B&B
C.
is?
Yeah, it's
with
fine.
a C there.
Okay.
I just thought he was talking about CNC
Breakfast?
Music Factory, and I got real excited.
Oh, we're all wrong. Who knows what's going on in his head?
I have no
You know?
idea.
Like, just jumping in there is a terrible, terrible idea.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for this Melmacian edition of Saturday Morning Cartoons podcast. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Hey, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening to Saturday Morning Cartoons. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to transform and roll out.
I haven't seen his birth certificates, just throwing that
Is
out
that
there.
really what you're so concerned about?
It's hard to tell these days.
Is it though?
Hey, Dave, what up?
Oh,
What up?
hey,
This
Jamal.
is
We've got
this is Jamal Newman.
Thank God
Thanks for having me
Jamal's
on here to co-host. We're here with our guest, Sean Paul Ellis Spee.
Jamal. I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
Just doing great.
I'm glad we warmed the mics up for Jamal. Jamal come in and save us from this terrible opening for what might be a terrible show. Not our show, of course, but the show we're talking about tonight. So, Jamal, you are here because you suggested tonight's series. What are we watching tonight? What the hell am I talking about?
We're watching Gordon Shumway,
Mhm.
a.k.a. ALF, his animated series.
Gordon Shumway.
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 S-H-U-M-A.
Was there a point though watching this show where you thought that they said Gordon Chumpway?
Nope.
I thought they said Shemway. I thought they said
Shamwow.
Yeah.
Gordon
I was-
Shamwow. Yeah.
Yeah, Gordon Shamwow.
No, I remember this from the original series, from the live action series. He would go by
Wait.
Gordon Shumway. His alias was Gordon Shumway.
Wait, was it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I do that was my biggest question for tonight was I do not remember him actually having a name other than Alf on the live action. And so to hear him referred to as Gordon Shumway, I was like, this seems weird. It seems like I was concerned that maybe the cartoon had tried to like fill in the gaps and been like, well, we can't have everybody named Alf on Melmac, so we're going to give him a name that sounds like he's from the Jersey Shore. And
we get Gordon Shumway of all things.
But we're going to put it in a setting where it feels like it's the 50s or the 60s, but clearly everybody dresses like they're on the beach in the 80s and has hairstyle like they were Johnny Depp in the movie Crybaby.
Nobody has pants. So in the live action one, I believe the father refers to him as Gordon more than anyone else in the series.
Really?
I believe, like, especially when they do, because I've watched a lot of the live action, and I believe there's a lot of times when they're doing the heart-to-heart talks with Alf, like, don't do this kind of stuff.
Don't eat the cats and stop doing cocaine.
Yeah. He's like, look, Gordon. Like, he, like, settles him down, like, sits him down. He's like, look, Gordon. Almost like he's talking to his son. But everyone else calls him Alf in the house.
Okay.
Which is short for...
Alien life form.
Thank you, sir. And, of course, they're not going to, like, call all other same aliens. Like, they're all the same species of people, creatures, aliens on Melmac, so they're not going to call them ALFs, alien life forms. That's just like the thing that stuck. But I remember Gordon Shumway from the live action because whenever anybody would stop by and he would like introduce himself as Gordon Shumway, sometimes he'd be in like a hat and a trench coat, if I remember correctly. And
like he was at some point tonight in one of the episodes.
Which, by the way, apparently back then, I remember a hat and a trench coat, you're a different person.
Yeah, totally different person. You can be anybody.
Different time, different place.
Completely different.
Different amount of exposure.
Happened a lot
you could say.
in Times Square. Yeah.
From
what I remember. Yeah. So let's go back to the 80s for a little bit. Sean's going to walk us through the history of this particular cartoon tonight.
So ALF, the animated series, also known as ALF on Melmac, was a spin-off based on the live-action sitcom ALF. It was a 30-minute Saturday morning animated series that aired for 26 episodes on NBC from 1987 to 1989. ALF Tales was a spin-off from the series that also ran on NBC on Saturdays from 88 to 89. Paul Fusco, who is best known as the voice creator and puppeteer of ALF, also voiced the role in the cartoon, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yep.
Like we've run into this a couple times where we've had either like movies or live action that has then been animated and they don't get the original voice actor who feels like it's so essential. And they make that key mistake where they're just like, we'll get somebody that sounds like Jim Carrey. And you're like, yeah, no, that's not gonna.
That's how you get the dip.
Maybe that's exactly how you get the dip.
Yeah, that's why I stopped watching the animated Fire Marshal Bill.
God, I wish that was a real thing.
They didn't get Jim Carrey.
That animated Homie the Clown did not have any of the Wayans brothers, and there's a bunch of them that they could have.
Yeah, there's a lot,
and they're not all working. Let's be honest.
I mean, but at the same time, what a great show that was. I really want. I would 100% right now say if they did an animated version of In Living Color, I would watch the shit out of that. That would be phenomenal. I'm upset that they didn't reboot it 2-3 years ago when they said that they were going to.
Wow, there's a lot of politics, and I feel like that's a whole other podcast episode.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to say variety show, cartoon animated variety show. I don't think we've seen for a while. It's been a long time.
I do want to take 2 seconds, though, and acknowledge that we had a live-action ALF.
Mm-hmm.
We had ALF, the animated series, or ALF on Melmac, which clearly is talking about our buddy Gordon's life on the actual planet Melmac. Yeah. And then for anybody who was just like, ALF Tales kind of sounds familiar, they essentially went with a model of Fractured Fairy Tales, just always starring ALF as sort of one of the key or leading roles that sort of helped kids like tell a tale or a story. ALF Tales went for 2 fucking seasons.
Was it good?
Hey everyone, it is Sean and Dave here from Saturday Morning Cartoons. We want to thank the following people for going to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons and supporting our show. So a huge thank you to Derek Haynes,
Dr. Jason Woods,
Jamal Newman,
Melanie Harker,
Allison Keene,
the one and only Sean Paul Ellis,
and the amazing Dave Trumbore.
Oh, thank you so much. Now, it might sound kind of weird that we are thanking some familiar people and ourselves in this list, But we want to let you listeners out there know that we are not just asking you to support us through Patreon. We are actually putting our hard-earned dollars into the show as well. So we just want to say thank you to those who have supported. And for anyone who can't, but would like to help out the show in some way, feel free to share our Patreon page within your social media circles. It would really help a lot.
So thank you guys. We appreciate you going to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Cartoons to sponsor and support our podcast. And now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from the planet Melmac, I'll be your co-host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me as always, it's Spee, also known as Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, Sean?
David, I'm doing well, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. I don't think I've called you Spee in a long time, like since college time.
It's been a while, huh?
Is that what your name's actually short for? Is it Sean Paul Ellis, or is it something else? Are you like masking that to be incognito?
No, man, it's 100% Sean Paul Ellis.
Oh, okay, that's kind of boring. I thought maybe you were like some weird, like illegal alien immigrant or something here and under false pretenses.
I feel like this is taking a weird turn.
Oh,
definitely a U.S. citizen. I am not a reggae superstar.
Okay. I guess we'll watch a lot of future episodes.
Needed more. No, you know what? Next time we do one of these things where we're like, Jamal, buddy, what's a show that you really want to watch? Something that you love that's near and dear to your heart. And I guarantee Jamal is going to be like, let's get into ALF Tales. Let's straight up get into ALF Tales. I was thinking of ALF Tales or Naruto. And, you know, ALF Tales is winning out for me this time.
Well, Alf won out this time.
Yeah, he did.
So probably went out again.
Do you want to tell us about this, Jamal?
What, the story of my realization that you haven't done Naruto?
The story, no, it should be the story of why we're talking about ALF tonight.
We're talking about ALF tonight because I was under the impression that you'd done Naruto, which is my actual favorite cartoon/anime. And so only after asking to do this and you guys confirming was I like, I probably should have asked about Naruto, but I didn't until finding out now, today, that I hadn't done it.
I think the funny thing is that we could have abandoned this at any point in time, and because I know Dave has watched a shit ton of Naruto, and I have read and watched a shit ton of Naruto, and you've watched all of it and read all of it. And we could have gotten into a real deep discussion, but guys, we decided to talk ALF.
I had girlfriends in college angry that I'd wake up early and read a manga episode at 5 a.m.
I feel like they would have been angrier if you were waking up to watch ALF, though. We're just more confused, at least.
Oh, maybe.
We also have ALF in the studio. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but he actually
Gordon
stopped by.
Shumway, please.
Gordon Shumway. Sorry, I didn't mean to give away your alias.
It's just about respect, Bill.
Is that Rodney Dangerfield? Is that
Alf
Gordon Shumway as
ALF /
Rodney
Gordon had a
Dangerfield?
lot of Rodney Dangerfield going for him.